Today's Mentor Talk video, the agenda for today's video is that we will be creating a detailed roadmap for data analyst interviews. How you should approach data analyst interviews and what is a roadmap or preparation strategy that you should follow for that. Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another video of Preplaced Mentor Talk series. Today we have Chetan Mahajan with us. He's a senior data analyst currently working at HP, and he's also has been a mentor with Preplaced for almost a year now. Uh, Today's Mentor Talk video, the agenda for today's video is that we will be creating a detailed roadmap for data analyst interviews. How you should approach data analyst interviews and what is a roadmap or preparation strategy that you should follow for that. So, uh, Chetan, can you like just describe some about yourself and your key expertise areas in your projects to everyone?
Sure, Sahil. Thank you so much for introducing me.
Hmm.
And I would love to contribute to the society, like what Preplace is doing, and definitely to add on to that, my small role will definitely make an impact. So I have total 9 years of experience in IT industry. So I have started my journey with Infosys. So I started as a software engineer, and then I moved more into the data analytics part because that time before 8 or 9 years, data analytics, data science was not there. We were
Hmm.
working with the database. We were working with some old technologies like SQL and mainframes and all those things. So I started my journey with that, but gradually when I had an interest in data analytics part, so I started learning the reporting tools. I started learning the data visualization tools. So I worked with Infosys for almost like 3 years. Then I moved to Deloitte, and that was a completely different experience because Deloitte, considering the big brand and the consulting firm, the entire software development part will change because you will come more into the consulting part, and the kind of profile you will have, the kind of experience, the mentors you will have in those kind of companies, that will definitely be a career changing journey. After that, during the lockdown, I switched from Deloitte to Genpact, and that was the time when I usually work from home, and I was part of Genpact for almost 2 years. But currently, I'm working with HP, as you told, like Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and my role is a specialist. So I'm part of a team which generally deals with the data engineering and advanced analytics part. So I
Okay.
mostly work in, if I'll say that in from the technology point of view, I majorly work in Power Platform tools, which include Power BI for the data visualization. We do work in Power Apps, Power Automate. Along with that, most of our work involve SQL, because if you ask any data analytics, then SQL is the basic thing which you have to understand and be thorough with that. So we
Hmm.
do extensive work in SQL, and then along with that, we use Python, we use Spark, we use Scala. So those are the technologies which we use, and being a part of a company which is not working for any third party client. So we are
Hmm.
working for our own clients. So definitely we have that advantage to work on any technology. It's just that you have to provide the solution on time and by using best technologies. So
Hmm.
that is the kind of exposure you will get when you work in such kind of an environment which is open to adopt new technologies and allow you to get trained and implement those things.
Hmm. That's great. Yeah, you have worked with quite a lot of technologies, I see. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
Sahil.
let's dive into the interview preparation
Sure.
roadmap creation, right? Before we do that, for everyone watching this video, do subscribe to the previous interview channel, and also like stay tuned for all the strategy tips that we keep giving on a weekly basis. Yeah, so Chetan, let's dive into the interview preparation roadmap. Uh, so let's consider a case where someone who is a working professional, right, and who is 4 to 6 years experience and wants to crack top companies interviews for data analyst roles.
Okay.
So keeping that in mind, let's create a detailed roadmap, and based on your expertise as an interviewer and also as a mentor, how would you suggest or create a roadmap for mentees like these. So let's start with the basic interview process as to what is the interview process for data analyst roles for an experienced professional from 4 to 7 years experience range.
Exactly. So, okay, yeah. So I'll start with the since you have mentioned the experience range, because for a fresher the process is very different, because they will not expect lots of things from them. But when you are like in the range of 6 to 7, or let's say I'll put it into the 6 to 10 bracket, so
Hmm.
then the responsibilities will increase. So definitely, if a company is hiring a person, and considering current scenario, like IT companies are paying a good amount of package, but
Right.
the same thing is expected in the interviews as well. Because
Hmm.
when you are coming with 6 to 7 years of experience, whatever experience you have gained throughout your journey, definitely they want to reflect on that. Because once they will start asking the data analytics related question, so data analytics, it is kind of a profile which includes lots of technology. As you told that I know lots of technology because that is the need of this role. Because
Hmm.
as a senior data analyst, you will not only work on SQL, you will not only work on Python. That is not expected, because those things are done by 3 or 4 years of people who are fresher. They are doing those things nowadays. Python is also part of a college curriculum. So
Hmm.
even not even college, I can say even in 11, 12, computer science guys are doing that. So the kind of expectation from 6 to 7 years people is like, okay, you are good with the technology, so you should know a database tool. So I can say that you will know kind of SQL, you know Azure, or you know any kind of other Google Cloud. So any cloud technology database things is the first thing that they want to see, how much data you have handled, and what are the kind of exposure you have with the data, be it different type of data sources or different kind of database related languages. That is the
Okay.
first part, because
Hmm.
they want to see your exposure, because 6 years is a long time. So they want to see, okay, these are the things which you have explored. And once
Hmm.
they will move into a particular technology which is very relevant to that particular company, because definitely the company will share the job description and they will say, okay, we want a guy who is very specific for the data visualization, or we want a person who is more into the Azure, or let's say Google Cloud, any technology. So
Hmm.
definitely you have to prepare for that. But the
Hmm.
second thing is, what mistake people do is, let's say they are working for 4 years into some other technology. I can say some testing or some automation, which is
Hmm.
completely different from data analytics. But since the boom is into data analytics, so everyone wants to move. There is no harm into that, because everyone wants to step up in their career. But then what people will do, they will say that, okay, I'm working from 3 to 4 years in data analytics, and now I want to move into a senior role in data analytics. So they will not justify those 6 years with the current role, because
Hmm.
then they will say, okay, I started working with this thing, and then I gradually moved to data analytics. I did some course. So nowadays, like there are lots of course online. So people are doing those small. I'm not saying it is any bad in doing those courses, but definitely try to implement those technologies in your current role, because
Hmm.
then you will be very confident to relate to the things. Let's say you are working with a healthcare client, and
Hmm.
you have learned a data visualization tool, Power BI. So
Hmm.
definitely you will not get those practical exposure, because that's why you are moving to any another company, because you did not get any exposure. You want to move into data analytics, so you are going in the interview and saying that, okay, I want to move to this company because I'm interested in this technology. But first of all, you have to implement those things in your current role. Be it just for some POCs, or just for example, you ask your manager, okay, I learned this technology. Can I implement this? Can I show you the solution? Because
Good.
those practical exposure will help you to crack the interview.
Hmm.
Because I'm taking the interview from last 4 years just for data analytics role, and we have full stack developer vacancies in HP. We have data visualization, data analytics role vacancies. And when we go and take the interview of the people who are 6 to 7 years of experience, then they are not even clear with the basics.
Okay.
Let's say data visualization, they are not even clear with that, because they were working in some other technologies and they forgot those things. Now they
Hmm.
are completely moving into a different domain, and they were doing some courses, and they are just doing some 50 100 questions on the Google, that okay, crack the data analytics interview or crack this particular technology interview. And then they are coming with those set of questions. That is a
Hmm.
very limited scope. The interviewer knows where to catch the candidate.
Hmm.
So you have to be very prepared for these kind of roles, because if a company is paying you more, definitely they are expecting those things in the interview itself.
Hmm.
Forget about the by joining the company and working in a project, that is again another challenge if you're not thorough with your concepts.
Hmm.
So those
Okay.
things are very important. Yeah,
So if I take few pointers or summary sort of what you said, I would
mhm,
one thing that I observed was specifically focusing on the basics and
exactly,
key fundamentals. And the second thing that you mentioned specifically was that just don't do courses, use those courses knowledge and try to implement it and get some experience via either
exactly,
project or working in your current role, right?
definitely.
Yeah. So if you, Chetan, if you have had to break it down, break all those different topics and everything in a
Mm,
format of round by round of an interview process,
yes,
uh, I am assuming that most of the top tier companies would have a similar type of interview process for data analyst roles, right? So if you had to
exactly.
break it down for someone, how would you break it down? Like, what are the number of rounds that are generally happen, and what does each round cover?
Okay, so basically, if I'll start it with I mean, set wise, if you are saying like to break down the questions, then definitely the first and foremost thing is, as I told you, like what is your exposure to the data set. So basically, I can say the question will be majorly on what are the data sources you have used.
Okay.
Okay, that is the first thing. And the second thing is like what is the size of that data,
Hmm.
because the subsequent question will relate to this thing. Because since you have mentioned, like let's say you will mention two or three databases, and you will mention the size will be like in GBs or whatever will be the size of the cloud data source you have used. So the questions will coming from that particular answers, whatever you will give, that what are the challenges you have faced.
Hmm.
Because as I told you, these kind of interviews are not there are very one liner answer or two liner answer. Once you will start explaining them that okay, this is the data source I have used, this was the database, the second thing will be like what are the challenges you have faced. Because that is very practical, that whenever you are connecting a large database, there are specific things which you will definitely face. And
Hmm.
then they will ask like okay, how you overcome those things, what are
Hmm.
the different ways of doing those things. if you are
Hmm.
if you are connected to this database, you are facing some challenges, what are the different ways. So most of the questions, the starting questions will start from the database. Okay,
Okay.
and if I can say 60 to 70% from the SQL or Python and all those scripting language related questions. Like
Hmm.
if you are connecting to any database, like how you extracted the data, what are the challenges faced, how you handled the error, all those basic things.
Hmm.
Now, if we will move to the next part of the data analytics interview, then basically it's like how you transform the data. This
Hmm.
because whenever you are connecting to a large database, none of the data is analytics ready. First of all,
Hmm.
you have to make that data ready for the analytics. Then you will start the analysis on this data. So there are different third-party tools which you will use for transforming that data, for cleaning that data, and make
Hmm.
it ready. Because
Hmm.
let's say if you have connected to a 500 GB of data, it's a
Hmm.
huge table. But
Hmm.
for your analysis, whatever the requirement came from the client, you only need 20 columns from that particular table, and only I can say 10,000 rows. So
Hmm.
you have to specify that okay, this is my data from which I have connected to, but I just required uh, the kind of data which is required for my particular analysis. So basically,
Hmm.
those are the things. Those data transformation and cleaning process will require a lot of time, because
Hmm.
there are lots of raw junk values. There are lots of null values. You have to remove them. You have to prepare that data. Once the data is prepared, then the second I mean, not second. The third point is basically you connected to the data, you transform the data. Now, what are the technical things, or how you want to present that output? Because
Hmm.
let's say you are using a data visualization tool. I'll take example of Power BI because I can relate more to that. But
Hmm.
it is not just limited. The data analytics role is not limited to Power BI. I'm just taking the example that if you're talking about a project which is completely into Power BI connected to some Azure database, so the third thing is how you want to show that data.
Hmm.
because you got the data, cleaned it, but now you are doing some kind of a coding and some kind of analysis on the data. Maybe you are, if you are a data scientist, you will apply some machine learning modules on that, and you will just refresh the data. If you're a Power BI guy, you will do some kind of a dex calculations and all those things. But how you want to present the data? Because nowadays, why data analytics is in boom, because all the higher management, they want people who will do all this kind of work and present the final visual or final output, and
Hmm.
based on those output they will take the decision.
Hmm.
So you are doing all the background work, and that's why they are hiring you. But how you want to represent what the client want to see? So
Hmm.
it's a kind of a give and take process with the client, that okay, this is how we transform the data and our model is ready. Now what you want to see? So most
Hmm.
of the questions are based on that, and data visualization is a very important aspect of data analytics, because lots of tools are there, be it Tableau or Power BI, or most of the people are also using Snowflake and all. But
Hmm.
those are the things which are important, because the final version of the dashboard or the output will go to the client.
Hmm.
So the most of the questions are based on that, like it's a kind of a storytelling. So
Hmm.
with that data, you need to narrate a story, that okay, this is how I got the data, and now this is how I will connect the dots, and this is how you will get the output. So most
Understood.
of the questions are based on that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So it is basically like for the step one mostly is data sourcing and collection sort of thing, then
exactly.
transforming and cleaning, and finally is the visualization component, right? So
Yes.
one question I have in mind is that are these generally sort of questions directed towards past projects of candidates, as in like they have done use various tools and you just grill them on those set of things, or is it that you just give them a problem statement and you just design the entire system for us? Like, how is the general way of uh, judging the person?
Exactly. So if I talk about my recent experience with HPE, because even my interview with HPE and what I saw, like my colleagues are taking interview, we are part of the interviews from last 2 or 3 months, and the kind of process we follow is basically the first round is technical round. So it is
Hmm.
purely based on like whatever you have learned in this technology, very nitty gritty of those technologies, like specific question, what is the syntax for this one? Or maybe they will just share screen and they will ask you that okay, this is the screen, just write the script, or write or if it is SQL, then just write a query to extract this data. So they will
Hmm.
just check all those knowledge. So that is basically the first round, and that is expected in any kind of company or in or any kind of role.
Hmm.
Considering the 6 to 7 years of experience, they will definitely ask you. But the second point is there is always a second round of interview, because those will be taken by the senior developer, or I can say manager or leads.
Hmm.
Because in HP it's a three round process. First is the technical, the second is manager, and there will be a director round. So
Hmm.
now I'll come to the managerial round. So in the managerial round, it is in the technical company for the technical role. You cannot expect that they will just ask you, okay, what kind of project you did, and then people can just narrate any story and they can
Hmm.
just pass those interviews. No. So these people are coming from a technical background, so you
Hmm.
cannot just expect that to narrate them theoretically some things and then they will say, okay, yeah, this guy, if you will say, I worked in data science, and they will agree that, okay, yeah, maybe you have worked in data science. No, these people are, they will not go to the syntax part. They will not ask you to write some code, but definitely they will ask you, like, what are the challenges you face?
Hmm.
Why you use this particular technology? If you are using Tableau, why not Power BI?
Hmm.
Or if you are a data scientist and if you are using some machine learning techniques, so why you have only used linear regression, why not the other technique? So
Hmm.
those are, I can say, non-technical question, but definitely they are expecting the answers in terms of technical things. You cannot
Hmm.
just provide them theoretical answers. And the main thing is people will still, I mean, till this day I can say that people are still giving the answers like one liner or two liners,
Hmm.
and no one will try to explain the story, like if someone is asking, okay, why you have used this particular algorithm or particular technique, so they will say that, okay, this is the requirement, that's why we used it. You cannot
Hmm.
just answer like that. In the managerial round they are expecting, because the same thing is expected when you will join that particular company and the role, and the same way you have to explain to the client. Those clients are not technical people. They don't know what is data visualization and what are the techniques you are using. You have to explain to them the same way, and that is
mm,
what the expectation from a candidate also for a 6 to 7 year, because those people will go as an individual, I can say, contributor. No one will guide you. There is no
mm,
spoon feeding in such kind of roles, because they are not hiring a bunch of people for a particular technology. They just need one guy who will come and sit and do all the work.
mm,
So the expectation from this manager interviewers are like, you will explain the things in a very, very broad way, not
mm,
just very one or two liner. But when it comes to the director round, then definitely they will grill you on anything. You cannot
mm,
just expect any particular question in this kind of role, because these people are senior people. And HPE, when I had my interview with the director, so he asked me why you switched from mainframe to data analytics. So he was
mm,
asking that NASA is using mainframe technology. So it is very hard to answer those questions, because we are not working in NASA first of all. And mainframe, it's a very old technology. We know lots of banks, lots of companies are using, but nowadays lots of people are moving into data analytics, and I had that kind of experience. But they will keep on grilling you on those questions. So they just wanted to see, like, under the pressure, the same kind of pressure that client will put on you, so how you
mm,
will answer those questions. So
mm.
definitely, just you just need to be calm and just say whatever you want to explain. There is no right or wrong answer to those questions. It's just that how you are approaching to the questions.
Basically,
So
quite subjective type of questions which needs deeper concepts and also
exactly.
explanation in a broader way which everyone can understand.